call the honourable member Claire Curran.
Mr Speaker, talofa lafa.
Mai oi. Now I've got you.
No, you've got me.
Manwea whawhatai.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. What a lot of froth and bubble and bogus claims and excuses that come out of the mouths of the members on the other side of the House, the government speakers today. Bill English today promised 60,000 new jobs in the 2013 budget. 2 years ago, he promised 170,000 jobs. The truth is, Mr Speaker, there are no jobs. Our unemployment rates continue to go up. Since this government has been in power, 41,000 more people are out of work. And I draw your attention, if you can see this, on the grey side is what was projected for the jobs. On the blue side is where there have been any jobs. John Key and Bill English and Stephen Joyce's ghost jobs, their ghost job promises will be their undoing. There are no jobs in the regions, Mr Speaker. They're certainly not in the southern part of New Zealand, because this government is delivering a two-speed economy, advantaging the people they like and the parts of New Zealand they like, and disadvantaging our regions, disadvantaging our young people, our exporters, and entrenching inequalities, because it's morally wrong to entrench inequality. It's wrong for our kids, it's wrong for a country that considers itself to be egalitarian. It's wrong economically, and it's not only wrong, it's stupid. Because an economy has to work for the ordinary person, so they've got a job, so they can stay in New Zealand, and so their families will thrive, so they'll pay tax and they'll spend, they'll invest their wage, and they'll help our economy to stay on track. Because otherwise what happens? They leave, they become disenfranchised, or they leave. Our economy also has to work for manufacturing. We have to make things. We have to make things and export them to be a productive economy. It's not rocket science. Instead, we're hollowing out our manufacturing base, and the loss of so many middle-income skilled jobs have made New Zealand a very unequal society. Why is this government propping up its mates at Sky City and not lifting a finger to support manufacturing businesses like the Hillside Workshops in Dunedin? Just what New Zealand companies, what New Zealand businesses are going to benefit from their new pretend procurement policy, which was announced after a significant manufacturing outlet with more than 100 skilled jobs was allowed to go down the gurgler. This government is not benefiting our regions. It's not benefiting the increasing number of working poor and elderly who are struggling with low incomes and rising cost of living. And most of all, Mr Speaker, though, it's not benefiting our young people, our future workforce, our future. That's the area where entrenched inequality policies are criminal in nature because they are doing us harm. While the national average for youth not in education, employment and training is 14%, Dunedin has a rate of 34%. The number of people participating in training programs in Otago has dropped by 24%, or 1,805 people since December 2008. Why? Not because of the demand, but because the number of funded places has dropped. 70% of the Dunedin South electorate earns less than $40,000 a year. The median income in Dunedin City is $19,400 compared to the national median of $24,400. In Otago, it's marginally higher at $21,600 compared to that national median of $24,400. The average power bill in Otago is almost $3,000, which is acknowledged by the ministry itself as probably being too low. Since November 2008, power bills in Otago have increased by 25%. And in 2010, an Otago University study calculated that 30% of households in Dunedin are living in fuel poverty. Fuel poverty, Mr Speaker, is a recognised measurement where the household spending on power equates to 10% or more of the power bill. And that figure of 30% sounds at least right, and it could be higher. Thank God that Labour's New Zealand power policy will reduce average household power bills by 10% a year and lower the cost of businesses by up to 7% a year. Because, Mr Speaker, that means something to the ordinary person. It means something to them. It's concrete. It's not froth and bogus promises. And it will mean something to the 70% of people in my electorate who earn under $40,000 a year and who may be spending up to $4,000 a year on electricity and living in fuel poverty. We've got to have a new approach. We've got to have a major rethink on how to grow jobs, wealth and fairness. The fact is that the merchant banking outlook has failed. The way the national government looks at this is failed. Clinging to it harms. It does us harm. It doesn't help the economy. The new outlook is industrial. This view holds that economic growth must be based on a real economy, a productive economy, where people actually make things, where businesses create products and services that bring real growth and real jobs, not speculation. But unfortunately, National still views the economy through that lens of merchant banking, which has dominated the Western world for the last 30 years. It has to change. The productive economy requires a productive workforce, a skilled workforce for the jobs of the future. It's a digital world that we live in now, and we have to equip our kids for the digital workforce. And another huge issue of concern for all of our communities, Mr Speaker, and where that two-speed economy is so stark, is the growing digital divide in our economy. This government should be putting its heart and soul into equipping our kids to be the workforce of the future. But again, what they're doing is entrenching a digital divide. We can't have a digital divide. It will kill our future economy. If we're not providing our kids with, and their families with, digital literacy, access to digital literacy, we will kill our future economy. It's estimated by the most up-to-date data that around 20% of New Zealand households currently don't have a computer. Computers in homes has estimated there are 100,000 families with dependent children who don't have access to a computer at home. Those unconnected homes are predominantly in lower socio-economic areas. They're often home to Pacifica and Maori families where children can't participate equitably in digital learning and using technology, where programs such as Computers in Homes, Computer Clubhouse and Aotearoa People's Network do great work in increasing digital literacy, where their success is sporadic because of limited and uncertain funding. Well, Mr Speaker, it's about to become more limited, more sporadic and more uncertain. When Nikki Kaye was made a minister and given special responsibility for digital education, she said she wanted New Zealand to lead the world, and her vision was to enable more children to have access to online learning and resources. Well, Mr Speaker, access to infrastructure is great if you can afford it, and great if you actually do have the access. Hidden in the budget, Mr Speaker, was a nasty and unnecessary cut. It was a cut to Computers in Homes through the Digital Literacy Fund, a cut of $1.7 million, which could affect more than 1,000 families a year. In the last 12 years, Computers in Homes has supported more than 10,000 families in this country. It supports communities in 17 different regions, from the far north to Otago across the country. It has widespread support and flow-on effects. For every dollar invested by the government, there's another $2 invested by the community and by local businesses. Mr Speaker, this is an absolute travesty that this is being they're being cut. This is mean-spirited, it's unnecessary, it's a cut to the heart of an initiative which is making inroads into closing the gaps and increasing inequality. Cuts like these affect people who need the help the most. while 100,000 families with no computer access have bleaker prospects. This is truly a two-speed economy,
Sorry to interrupt the honourable member.
Society for the haves and the have-nots.
The Honourable Maurice Williamson.
Mr. Speaker, today I want to pay